YouTube fam? Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name's Tina and I make videos on lifestyle, home, and DIY projects every single week. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day today. It is actually Sunday as I'm filming this, and I'm very excited because I'm heading over to the thrift store today. Most Goodwills around me are closed on Sundays, but I checked my local one here and it's actually open, and I'm really excited to go because usually I go on Saturdays. And I feel like the items that you're able to find at the thrift store really depends on the day and the time that you go. So fingers crossed that we find something really good today. So of course we're doing some thrift flips today, and I'm really happy that you guys like my video at the Creative Reuse store. I did that a couple videos back, and if you didn't catch that one, that's basically where I went to a thrift store for specifically DIY and art supplies, and it was literally heaven. I cannot wait to go back. And a lot of you guys actually commented that you found a Creative Reuse in your local area, so that just made me super happy. But today we're heading to a regular old thrift store, so I'm going to try to find some unique pieces, but I also want to keep in mind that I want to find pieces that are also going to be helpful for you guys to get inspo from. I also want to thank Skillshare for sponsoring today's video, so I'll talk a little bit more about them later. And before we get started, don't forget to like and subscribe down below, and let's get into it. This is. I wish I had a fireplace. Alright, so we are back from the thrift store. I usually go on Saturdays and I feel like I got there too late, so I never find anything good. But this time there were a lot of really good items. Let me show you guys what I found. Here's what I found today. I am pretty happy with all the items. I am most excited for this, I think it's a fruit basket, and this has 3 layers on it. My plan is to spray paint and then wrap this so that it looks a lot more chic. As you can tell, the silver paint is kind of chipping off here, so it definitely needs a little bit of love, but I think this is gonna look really good with a little makeover. And then I had to pick this up in stores. I just thought the shape of this was so cool, and I wanna try out a new baking soda / baking powder technique with this, so we're gonna see how that turns out. This is definitely a wax warmer though, right? I just need to figure out how it works. Then I grabbed one of these baskets. I don't know what drew me to this, to be honest. I just really liked it. It was very simple, and I feel like this type of grid organizer is just really popular right now, and this one was just simple and super cheap, so I just had to pick that up. And lastly, I found this, which I believe are little woven coasters. It came in a little like holder thing, and inside are these cute little coasters, and they all kind of have a different color pattern. So this one is a little bit more maroon. This one has some blacks in it, and I don't know, I thought this would be really cute to kind of use them all together and figure out how to create something with them. There are just a ton of them in here, so I'm gonna get to brainstorming and seeing if we can DIY something. So that's everything that I found on this trip, and I'm really excited to get started on these projects. I won't be getting to all of the items, but I wanted to show you guys anyways because I'm sure that you guys can come up with some ideas and help me for future videos. But for the ones that I do have an idea for, I'm gonna get started on that one first. Hello from VoiceOver Tina. First up, we have the coaster set, and I really was not sure what I was going to do with these, so I was playing around with the placement, and then I thought that maybe we could create a flower shape by placing one in the middle and then the rest around it, and I thought this looked pretty good, so I just went for it. To attach them together, I'm using this raffia ribbon, and this actually matched the color perfectly. So I'm stringing it through a needle, and I'm first attaching the outside coasters to the one in the middle. And this is super simple to do. You can just poke the needle through the gaps in the weaving on both coasters and then tie it tightly in the back. And once I had those two together, it looked really seamless, so I was very happy with it. So I just went ahead and repeated this step with all of the coasters. And I worked on it by stringing the next one across from that initial one just so that I could space it out all even. And I also used tape to mark out where each one should go, and this helped out a lot too. Then the next step was to connect the circles next to each other together, and with these I first attached the bottom portion where they touch with the raffia ribbon, and this closed off any of the gaps. I know that this project is very specific to this coaster set, but I think that this could also be translated to other round objects to create a similar look. So for example, you can use crochet doilies or even make your own macrame coasters and attach them together to create a flower shape, and I think that would make such a cool piece as well. So at this point, I was really trying to make it so that the entire piece would be a little bit more 3D and bowl-like, so I was tying these super tightly, but it was not doing the trick and it was still laying pretty flat. So then I tried to attach them together right on top of that initial spot. By doing this, it was lifting the coasters up and giving them a bit of an angle. And once I did this to all of the coasters, it was giving me the most perfect bowl shape, and I was just so happy because this is exactly how I envisioned it in my head. Basket wall hangings are super trendy, and I think this was such a fun take on it. This has a unique shape and I love the colors on it, and I think it would look great in a little gallery wall of them. You could also just style this on a table and use it as a decorative bowl as well. This is such a simple way to upcycle this piece, and I am absolutely obsessed with it. Okay, so for the actual holder part, this is kind of a little bonus DIY, but we're gonna give it a little upgrade with a cute pom-pom. I'm using a medium-sized pom-pom maker to do this, and this is a great time to use up some scrap yarn, so I have some colors that will pair perfectly with the woven basket. And if you haven't used one of these before, I'm first opening up one side of the little arms, and then I'm just gonna wrap the yarn around it. This one is going to be a multicolored one, so I'm wrapping it around randomly and layering in different colors. The basket has some pinks and oranges, so that's what I'm pulling into this pom-pom, and the more layers that you add onto it, the thicker and fluffier your pom-pom's gonna be. I really love my pom-pom maker, but if you don't have one, there are other methods using everyday items at home to make them, so I will link this pom-pom maker as well as other DIY pom-pom making techniques below. So after wrapping around both sides, we're going to close them up, and then we're just going to cut the yarn down the middle. And for some reason, I was having the hardest time cutting it with my scissors. Since this is quite thick, you want to cut it layer by layer, so I ended up trying out 3 different pairs of scissors. It was almost impossible, and then I finally remembered this little hack to sharpen your craft scissors. So we're going to grab a piece of aluminum foil, fold it a couple of times, and then cut through it with these scissors, and this is going to slightly sharpen the blade, making cutting it a lot easier. Alright, so both sides are cut, and now we can go ahead and wrap another piece of yarn through the middle, and I'm gonna make sure to double knot that as tight as possible. And now we can pop out our pom-pom, and at this point you can trim it so that all the edges are even, and the shorter you cut it, the more dense the pom-pom's gonna be, so it's all up to your own preference. Normally I would cut off these little tails on the pom-poms, but I'm gonna use that to tie that to the lid of the basket. You can also glue that right on there, but this way I can remove the pom-pom if I want to in the future. Pom-poms always make me so happy when I see them, and I love how quirky this looks now. This was such an easy, quick little upgrade to our basket and totally reminds me of something that I've seen at Anthropologie before. I'm so happy that this thrifted item ended up being a 2-for-1 DIY, and I just love how both of them look. We're taking a little pause in the DIYs to talk about today's video sponsor, Skillshare. They have a special offer going on right now, so I'm excited to share that with you guys. If you're not already familiar with Skillshare, they are an online learning community filled with thousands of classes for creatives and learners at any skill level. And you guys know that month after month, I've been really enjoying taking their classes. Some of my favorite classes have been art journaling for self-care with Amanda Rachel Lee, plants at home with Christopher Griffin, and style your space with Emily Henderson. And these are just a few classes that you can take from their huge library. And when you enroll in the class, you know that you're getting quality content from a pro. And I love that it's broken down into smaller lessons so that you can learn at your own pace. And right now they're actually doing a limited time offer so you guys can get 1 month of their premium membership for free. This is such a great time to sign up, and it's only available to the first 1,000 people who use my link down below. So be sure to check that out in my description box. I'll also link my favorite classes below as well. And now let's get on to the next flip. So I wanted to pop in here because my plan was to do one more project with this little thing, which I thought was a wax melter, but I realized at the top there are these little holes here, so that's definitely not a wax melter. So I asked you guys on Instagram if you knew what this was, and a few people actually messaged me back and said that this is a shaving bowl / shaving pot. So at the top here is actually where you would put a bar of soap, and then you would fill this with water and then put a brush in that opening. So that was really cool to find out, and I still really like the shape of this. The only problem is if I wanted to make it a wax melter, I don't really know how I could fill the holes. My initial thought was to put polymer clay in it, but I wasn't sure if that was going to work, especially if I'm melting wax underneath. So if you guys have any other ideas on how I could still thrift flip this for a future video, please comment down below. I still really love this and I want to make it into something pretty. So feel free to send me your ideas and I would love to hear them. All right, now back to the projects. So first things first, we're going to take this hanging basket apart, and I went ahead and cleaned it and gave it a light sanding. And of course, we're going to change up the color with some spray paint, so I'm using the color Khaki by Rust-Oleum, which I think will complement the basket really well. And doing this already made such a difference to transform the baskets, and I also made sure to give it a clear coat to seal the color in. After that's all dried, I'm taking a mustard yellow macrame cord in 3mm, and I'm going to use this to weave between the spokes on the basket. To start it, I just knotted it to one of the spokes, and then I'm using a small bundle of the macrame cord at a time, and I'm passing it between each of the vertical strokes. So you can see I'm just going back and forth between them, and as we build each layer, you're going to start forming a beautiful basket weave. And each time that I finished a cord, I just tied on another one to continue it, and alternatively, you could just use hot glue for a more seamless look. I also am planning to use this to store accessories, so that's why I was okay with spray painting it, but if you want to use it still as a fruit basket and change up the color, make sure that you're using food-safe, non-toxic supplies. And for these baskets, I'm wrapping it up about 1/3 of the way, and then I'm leaving the rest of the spokes out to create a really nice, airy, and unique look, but feel free to weave it all the way up to the top. So of course I'm going to repeat this to the second basket, but this time I'm using a gorgeous rusty terracotta color. I thought that doing multicolored layers would look really cute, and all of these colored cords come in many colors. I got them from my friend Addie's shop, so I'll make sure to link them below. And for this flip, I'm only going to use the top 2 baskets to create 2 tiers. This item is super versatile and can be turned into so many things, so I'd love to know in the comments what you guys would turn it into. I could totally imagine it as a hanging planter, or even using the baskets by themselves and stacking them to create a cool pedestal. There are so many fun possibilities, and I'm saving the last basket for a future project for sure. To add some boho flair to our basket, I'm adding on a fringed rim. So I'm first creating smaller pieces of macrame, and I'm wrapping that around my fingers a few times and then cutting one end of the loops. And now we can take each piece and do a lark's head knot, so I'm going to fold it in half, and then I'm placing that under the wire and then pulling the ends through to ensure that the head of the knot is in the front. And we're just repeating this process around the entire rim. Once we get to the end, you can totally leave it like this for a more chunky look, but of course I'm going to use a pet brush to separate the cords and create a beautiful fringe. So after it's all brushed out, I'm going to go ahead and cut it down, but I'm not too worried about making it super straight or even, and this is going to create more of an organic look. To put this all together, I'm using the macrame to do a double half hitch knot around one of the spokes, and this is going to keep it in place. I'm going to do this 3 times around the rim, and I'm going to space them out as evenly as I can. And after that, I'm adding on 3 wooden beads to add some interest to each of them. To attach it to the top basket, I'm measuring the length at the top, and then I'm going to add tape to mark the macrame pieces so that I can get these even all the way around. And we're basically going to do more double half hitch knots around the rim at the top side and making sure that they're all nice and even. So now you can see that these are attached all perfectly together, and what I'm going to do is repeat this whole process again with the top rim with the yellow macrame. And the last thing we need to do is to add the hook back onto the top and then knot it all together. This thrift flip came out so cute. It's the perfect vertical storage piece for fun accessories and trinkets, and I'm planning on hanging this in my closet to house things like my scrunchies and masks, and this is just so perfect for it. This was such a fun way to spice things up on this plain Jane fruit basket, and it just adds so much color to my space. So those were today's thrift flips. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are and which one was your favorite. I would also love to know how you guys would flip some of those other items that I didn't get to in today's video. I'm already brainstorming some ideas, but I just need to get the right materials, so those will be coming up on my channel in the future. Big thank you to Skillshare for sponsoring today's video, and make sure that you guys click on my link below so you guys get 1 month for free of their premium membership. And as always, if you guys are inspired by today's projects, make sure that you tag me over on Instagram. I will obviously put some of your projects on the screen here. These projects on the screen are actually from one day. A whole bunch of you guys tagged me in your sunburst mirrors, and it just makes me so happy that you're able to make it your own, and they all just look so amazing. So thank you for tagging me in your posts, and don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up if you liked it. Thank you so much for watching. Stay inspired, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.